Hines, if you'll lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Okay. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve the agenda.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the election of the school board chair. Do we have a nomination for the chair of the school board?
I have a nomination of Michael Kidwell as chairman.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Mr. Kidwell, congratulations.
Thank you. Next is the election of the vice chair. Can we have a motion for the vice chair?
Make the motion that Pam Fannin be the vice chair.
Do we have a second? I'll second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next is appointment of a designee to attend meetings of the school board in case of the division superintendent absence. Dr. Austin.
Administration recommends Brian Dean, Director of Instruction, to serve in this capacity.
Can we hear a motion?
I'll make the motion.
A second.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Any opposed? Sorry. Motion carries. Next is the appointment of the clerk and deputy clerk of the school board. Dr. Austin.
Administration recommends Christine Van Sant to serve as the clerk of the school board and Kathy Bergen to serve as the deputy clerk of the school board.
Can we hear a motion?
I move that we appoint Christine Van Zandt as deputy clerk and Kathy Bergen as clerk. Sorry, let me get that right. Christine is clerk and Kathy Bergen is deputy clerk.
Can we hear a second?
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is the appointment of the designee to sign Virginia Department of Education documents in absence of the division superintendent. Dr. Austin.
Administration recommends Brian Dean, Director of Instruction, to serve in this capacity.
Can we hear a motion?
I make a motion.
Motion's been made. Can we hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is the appointment of the agent and deputy agent to examine and approve claims, authorize the payment thereof. Dr. Austin.
Administration recommends Division Superintendent as the agent and Joe Hobbs, Director of Finance, as the deputy agent to sign invoices and approve them accordingly for payment.
Can we hear a motion?
I make a motion that Dr. Austin serve as the agent and Joe Hobbs the deputy agent to examine and approve claims.
Can we hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is the appointment of the purchasing agent for the school board.
Administration recommends Joe Hobbs, Director of Finance, to serve as the purchasing agent for the school board.
Can we hear a motion?
I make a motion.
Can we hear a second?
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, the appointment of a member to serve on the A. Linwood Houghton Governor School Board. Can we hear that motion?
I'll make the motion. I make the motion, Miss Jessie serves on the school board, Linwood Governor School Board, sorry. Can we hear a second?
I'll
Second.
second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is appointment of a member to serve on the Head Start Personnel Committee.
I make a motion Michael Kidwell serve on the Head Start Personnel Committee.
Can we hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Appointment of 2 members to serve on the school board budget subcommittees. I'd like to make the motion, Mr. Hines and Miss Jessie serves on the budget subcommittees. Can we hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is the designation of members of the school board to serve as the liaison on the following committees.
I move that members of the school board serve as the liaison on the following committees. The Superintendent Teacher Communication Committee, Mr. Hines. The Superintendent Support Staff Communication Committee, Ms. Jessie. The Special Education Advisory Committee, Ms. Jessie. The CTE Advisory Committee, Ms. Fannin. The Gifted Advisory Committee, Mr. Harder. The Employee Insurance Advisory Committee, Mr. Hines and Ms. Jessie. And the Comprehensive Plan Advisory Committee, Ms. Jessie and Mr. Kidwell.
Motion's been made. Can we hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is establish meeting rules of order and preliminary procedure, Robert's Rule of Order.
I move the meeting rules of order and parliamentary procedure.
Motion been made. Can we hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, Lee County School Board's meeting will be held on the second Thursday of each month at 6 p.m. at the school board office. Can we hear that motion?
I make a motion that we hold the second Thursday of each month at 6 p.m.
Motion's been made. Can we hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is recognition, Dr. Austin.
As we usually do, we want to recognize our students that have been involved in the Kingsport Times News Write-On and Drawing Card Contest, and want to recognize students from Elydale Elementary, Bryn Ellison, Carly Jones, Chloe Markham, and Olivia Rodriguez. From Pennington Middle, Candace Ely, Sarah Nelms, Xavier Reagan, and Alexa Stafford. For the drawing cards, Flatwoods Elementary, we have Molly Cantor. Jonesville Middle, Susan Bledsoe, Josh Bowling, Mark Breton, Mackenzie Carter, Brianna Goodman, Noah Goodman, Katie Hammonds, Lima Martin, Briley Middleton, Mariah Moore, Johnny Satterfield, and Jacob Scott. And from Elk Knob Elementary, we have Ethan Grizzle and Abby Holloway. And as you can see, more of our students are getting recognized for their creativity and for their artistic ability. And I think, again, this is reflective of the efforts of our students, but also the support of our teachers. So hats off to those students.
Next on the agenda is public comment. Would anybody like to make public comment at this time? If not, next is approval of the consent agenda. Can we hear that a motion?
I move the consent agenda with the following items. Approval of minutes from the December 6, 2016 special call meeting with the Lee County Board of Supervisors and the December 8th 2016 regular meeting, and approval of claims and expenditures.
Motion's been made. Can we hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is reports of the board. Do we have any reports? If not, we will move right along. Next is reports of the division superintendent.
Give me a second, I'm relying on Mr. Harbor's paper copies because technology is not cooperating with me. Thank you, Mr. Harbor.
You want my laptop?
I think I'm good for right now. Okay, first item that we've got up is the current school with the highest percentage of attendance. And this continues to be something that we monitor from an administrative standpoint. And we have concerns about some of the attendance rates, but we're looking into reasons for that. But this month, congratulations go to second place Rose Hill at 94.3%, and then also to Flatwoods at 95.3%. So congratulations to those schools, and we will be passing those trophies along.
Rose Hill first. Rose Hill second.
Rose Hill was second, Flatwoods was first. The next item on the agenda is enrollment. We have trended down again, and I know this continues to be a theme, but the good news is we are still with an average daily membership above what we budgeted. So that's good news, but our overall enrollment is 3,030, and that is down 46 students from last year. But again, we're trending somewhat up and down, but we're up 4 students from November. So good news, but again, overall, the bottom line number is our average daily membership is about 8, almost 9 students above what we budgeted. So that's a good thing from a budgetary standpoint that we can continue to monitor that. The next item on the agenda is an update on operations. And the operations update, as you can see, there have been a variety of different things that we worked on in schools, and with them being closed for a week, that allowed us to do some other activities that typically we don't do when students are in the building. So hats off to maintenance as they continue to work through a variety of tasks, and this is the tip of the iceberg on things that we're always dealing with. So day in, day out, our maintenance crew, I think, does an incredible job working with facilities that are aged, to say the least, but we are working very hard to make sure we provide the best opportunities for our students. The next item on the agenda is kindergarten registration. Dr. Adams is here tonight, but I want to thank her and her staff for conversations that we've been having over the last 6 months about kindergarten registration. We have published a date, and we'll be sending out more information in the coming weeks that we're going to do kindergarten registration February 2nd. This is considerably earlier than we've ever done this in Lee County. The reason we're doing that is to give us an idea of how many kindergartners we will be anticipating in August as a budget consideration, but then also from a staffing consideration of how many teachers we'll need. The reason that we're working closely with Head Start is one of the things that we're looking at is current school board policy allows for students who have birthdays who turn 5 from October 1st to December 31st to enroll in kindergarten. But that is a local decision, and we're working very closely with Head Start to make some criteria appropriate for those students so that we can help parents make decisions that are best for their children. Typically, that has been a hard cutoff of September 30, but we have looked hard at policy and believe that there may be some students, again, working closely with Dr. Adams' staff, that there may be some students with birthdays from October to December 31st that could benefit from being in kindergarten. And again, the Code of Virginia allows us that latitude at the local level. So that will be coming in the near future. Any questions?
Is that directly related to funding, the number that we have?
Yes, sir. The reason, and this goes back, I'm going to give you a brief history lesson, but going back several years, the state changed the enrollment date from December 31st to September 30th, and a lot of localities complained. So they've pushed back and gave local discretion from October 1st to December 31st, but we still get funding for those students. If we have a child that we enroll that has a birthday in January that's 4 years old, turns 5 in January, we do not get state funding for that child. But as long as they turn 5 before December 31st, we have that latitude. Any other questions?
Next on the agenda is unfinished business. Action, if any, to approve the 2017-2018 school calendar.
The school calendar is up on the screen, and there are comments also linked online. We opened a poll and have been taking comments from the public for the better part of a month after we presented this in December. We've worked on it in November in a variety of committees and presented this to you in December, and have had I will say candidly, mixed reactions. One of the reasons that we have mixed reactions is we've proposed a start date of August 9th, which is about a week earlier than we typically start, but the reason we've done that is our current calendar has 82 school days in the first semester. As proposed, this calendar has 89. The reason we need to have close to 90 days in the first semester is because of a transition to block schedule. There are also a couple of work days that we built in here with the intent of trying to support our teachers to allow them to go to other school divisions to see how, whether it K-5, 6-8, or especially 9-12, how instruction takes place in a block schedule building, but then also allow our teachers some latitude that if they need to come in and work, they can do that also. So the other feedback that we've gotten is we, as proposed, would start our winter break on a Wednesday. There has been some feedback that it would be better to go all the way through Friday. My concern, administration's concern, is that if we go up through the 22nd, we're backed up on the weekend of Christmas, and that kind of limits travel. As proposed, it's a Wednesday end and a Wednesday start. There were some feedback, as you can see in the comments, that midweek starts are tough, and there's a significant percentage of teachers that like midweek starts because that gives students the ability to come back in and get adjusted for 3 days before they go back to a 5-day schedule. So again, mixed results, mixed feedback, some very positive, a lot of different suggestions. One of the things is, as presented, we have 9 makeup days in here. We've looked back historically over the last 10 years. We miss typically around 12 days a year. And then we also go late, on average, about 8 to 10 times a year. So if we were able to make up 9 instructional days of 12, then that gives our teachers a better opportunity to provide quality instruction. But then also, it also gives our students time to learn the content and expand their knowledge. So the other comment in there is if we end up not using those days, instead of them being closed school days, could we reduce, I won't say reduce, May 25th is the end of the school year as proposed. If we did not use those days, could we change the end of the school year back instead of pushing it forward? Like if we did not use 4 days, then could we shorten spring break and get out on May 22nd? Yes, that would be something that the school board could decide to do, just like you decide to add to the end of the school year, you could take away from the school year also. As long as we balance days, and again, that's something administration will help you balance. So a lot of good feedback, a lot of good comments. And again, those are available on board docs. And as presented, administration recommends approval.
Can we hear a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Can we hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, action discussion items. Action, if any, to approve the proposed school board policy GBM-R procedure for adjusting grievances for professional staff. Can we?
Mr. Chair, members of the board, the State Board of Education approved new regulations, which is now in the Virginia Administrative Code. These were approved in late November, and we had not had a chance to review them thoroughly by the December board meeting. Since then, both administration and Mr. Sturgill have reviewed these and believe that these are a good fit for us. So as presented, again, this aligns straight with administrative code, and we've just made it correct for Lee County Public Schools. So administration recommends approval.
Can we hear a motion as presented? I'll make the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is action, if any, to appoint hearing officers per school board policy GBM-R procedure for adjusting grievances for professional staff. Dr. Johnson.
Next item on the agenda is directly related to the previous policy that was just approved. As part of the procedure, if a principal recommends the dismissal of a professional staff member and the superintendent upholds that recommendation, this would allow for the individual to be heard by a hearing officer, and that case would then be presented to the school board for consideration. This does not take away from the fact that the individual could still speak to the school board, but it gives us another outside view of the process to make sure that we procedurally did what we were supposed to on the administrative side. The 4 individuals that as presented, 3 of them are the same names that were approved back in July when we approved this policy, and the additional name there, David Smith. These 4 individuals are former superintendents, so they're very familiar with the grievance procedures and that type of practice, and would serve the school board well and administration well. And again, administration recommends approval.
Do we hear a motion for subject B as presented?
I make a motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is action, if any, to approve disposal of surplus property per school board policy, disposal of surplus items.
These 2 items are trucks that we have recently taken out of service and would like to dispose of on GovDeals. As we've indicated, the online auction has been a very good resource for administration, Lee County Public Schools. This has been much more, I want to say, well advertised. We've had more bids through this process, and we're requesting permission to dispose of these 2 vehicles.
We hear a motion for C.
I move that we approve the disposal of surplus property per SBPDN, disposal of surplus items.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next on the agenda is board comments. Do we have any board comments? I'd like to thank Mr. Hines for serving as board chair. It's, I guess I'll learn it's probably not an easy job, but I do think he's done a great job at it, and it's going to be hard shoes to fill. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any other board comments?
I second that.
If not, we'll ask Mr. Harper to read us into closed session.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I move we go into executive session to discuss personnel, Code of Virginia 2.2-3711A1, to discuss student discipline, Code of Virginia 2.2-3711A2, and request to release a student from compulsory attendance pursuant to the Code of Virginia 22.1-254B1, and that's Code of Virginia 2.2-3711A2.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Now in closed session.